In this video, we'll be taking a look at the rubric and the template for the APEEC assignment. In order to access this assignment, please go to the Assessments tab in Module 7 and scroll down until you see APEEC Effective Classroom Environments. Then click on the APEEC Rubric tab. Please remember that the formatting might be a little bit different for you because I'm on my iPad. On a desktop, this shows up as a Word document. So taking a look at the rubric for the APEEC information, I'm going to go through the exemplary column and talk about exactly what's expected in each area. In the first area, observation and record keeping, it says that an appropriate record keeping system was used for the observations and effectively served the APEEC assessment system. This is part of your assignment where you need to upload your notes from your assessment, from your observation, in the classroom. This is an accountability piece that shows that you took notes while you were in the classroom, but also holds you accountable for your time in the classroom. In order to receive full credit for this criteria, you will need to upload your notes onto Blackboard 9 with your assignment. The next section says observations is talking about completeness. It says 2 observations were done in the appropriate classroom using time effectively, half hour or more each time. I suggest 3 hours or more each time if they're for a half a day, and had records that demonstrated this time. This is twofold. In order to get exemplary for this section and get all 4 points, you need to show adequate notes. Your notes should reflect your time in the classroom, meaning there should be more than 1 page of them if you are there for 6 hours. In addition, this also takes into account the letter that you have uploaded from your teacher, and that your teacher included the times that you were in the classroom as well as the dates that you were in the classroom. In order to get full credit, you need to have both of those documents, and they need to have the correct information. The next section talks about APEEC quality. It says the transfer of observational information to the APEEC made sense. Essentially what this is looking at is your APEEC scoring sheets, which need to be uploaded with your assignment. These scoring sheets should show that your notes and your scoring were related to each other. So the way that I check this is I take a look at your APEEC scoring in one of your sections, and I go back to your notes and do a quick check. Did your notes adequately show that in that section the teacher scored correctly? So if in physical environment it asked if there were soft furnishings in the classroom, and you scored that your teacher did have soft furnishings, I will go back into your notes, for example, and take a look to see if your notes reflect that soft furnishings were in the classroom. The next section talks about your summary and the written quality. It says the summary was clearly and effectively written and information flowed smoothly. We'll look very closely at how a summary should be written when we look at the template. There's some guiding information there that shows exactly what you need in each section of the summary. And we'll also look at this again when we look at the exemplar that I've provided for you. The next section talks about summary relevance. It talks about how the information was pertinent, questions were answered and reflected on considerable thought related to the APEEC and the guiding principles of ECE. So this is looking at the section where you're answering questions in your summary, and looking at whether or not they were reflectively answered and whether or not they showed some connection to APEEC and the guiding principles of early childhood education. In this section, I will be looking for references, so make sure that you're including either references to the APEEC or the textbook to show that you've really put some reflective thought and that you're relating them to the topics that we've discussed in class. In the next section, it talks about whether or not the summary is inclusive. This is really looking at whether or not the summary contains all the required elements outlined in the syllabus and in Module 4. You'll see this information in the template and also when we look at the example that I've provided for you. The next section is technical. So it's looking at whether or not your summary was neatly done, double-spaced, and with no spelling or grammar errors. I'll also be giving you some information about this in your template, and I'll be providing you a document that outlines what professional writing looks like in a report like this. The next section, the next 3 parts, of the rubric relate to your wiki. Make sure that you are recording your information in your wiki and then copying and pasting that information into a Word document, which should also be uploaded with your assignment. The first section of your wiki is looking at collaboration. It asks whether or not the wiki was a collaborative experience. So is there any evidence that you and your group members worked together? It should show that not just one member of your group did all of the work, but that each of you had something to contribute, so that your wiki reflects a complete picture of the section of the APEEC that you are working with. The next section talks about presentation and was it effective. This is really looking at whether or not your wiki was easy to read. Was there some creativity in your presentation in the wiki? And was it organized in a way that we could find information, or was it just scattered anywhere it wasn't organized? This will also look at whether or not it's readable in that you are able to look at information and understand what section you're reading. Sometimes without subheadings in a wiki, it's really difficult to see what exactly you should be looking for. So make sure that it's very organized and easy to read. And lastly, we're looking at inclusivity in the wiki. This is just looking at whether or not your wiki contained all the required elements. Your wiki has information to guide you, and there is also an example that's provided for you in the Assessments tab in Module 7. Next, we're going to look at your template. Your template is also found in the same tab under the APEEC Effective Classroom Environments assignment in Module 7, so we'll click on APEEC Template. Remember again that this will open as a Word document for you that you will be able to type right into. The very first section you're going to do is you're going to give an introduction. And in this section, you're going to include information about the classroom that you observed, the teacher's information, the school, the grade level and location, as well as the number of students. You're also going to include the times and dates that you observed and which section of the APEEC you're assessing. Next, you're going to be looking at your subheadings. So your subheadings are based on the subheading sections in your APEEC. And you'll include a subheading for each page or subcategory that you've assessed. Each section in your subheading should include the score that the classroom was given, specific information about the indicators that resulted in the score, including the indicator numbers and specific quoted text from the book. For example, if your teacher did not have soft furnishings in their room, you will want to talk about how your score reflects the fact that the teacher had no soft furnishings. You'll want to include the indicator number that resulted in the score, and you'll want to quote text from the book that talks about soft furnishings and that they're required for the score. Please make sure that you use indicator numbers. So for example, if your teacher did not get credit for 5.1, you'll want to make sure that you include 5.1 as the indicator specifically that your teacher did not get credit for. Next, you'll want to give information about what you saw during your observation or heard during your interview that led to that score. So for example, if your teacher did not use soft furnishings, you're going to give the specific information about, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but indicator 5.1, let's call it. So if indicator 5.1 is about soft furnishings and your teacher did not have soft furnishings, you'll want to say, my teacher received a score of a 4 because while they met indicator 5.2, they did not meet indicator 5.1, quoted text, which refers to the soft furnishings. And then you'll want to talk about how in your classroom you saw, although the teacher had chairs for the student, a bench for the students to sit on, there were no beanbags, couches, or chairs that provided soft furnishings for the children to use in the classroom. You're going to make sure that this information is as specific as possible about what you saw in the classroom. And you want to make sure that in this section you use no opinions. In report writing, when you're giving information about the classroom or what you observed, this is not the time for your opinions. This is not the time for your reflection. This is the time for objective information. You will be able to give your reflection and answer the questions in your summary. So for each one of your subheadings or each page that you assessed in the APEEC book, you're going to do these 4 things. Once that section is complete, then you'll go on to your summary. You're going to make sure that you answer the questions from the APEEC assignment. This is where you're going to be using your opinions and your thoughts and reflection on the classroom. You should use citations from the course materials to back up your opinions and reflection, as well as the textbook and the APEEC book. Keep your answers concise, but make sure that you thoroughly and reflectively answer each. Your questions for reflection, again, are what would you say about the overall area that you observed, giving an overall reflection about the classroom that you observed and what you saw, whether or not it was effective, and why it was considered effective or not. This is a section where you need to give a reference. If you say it is effective, you need to give some kind of reference to support your thinking and your rationale. Next is, do you feel the environment was inclusive? Tell why or why not. Please refer to your textbook and the APEEC book in this section. What you have personally learned from the observation. So talk about the growth that you've made through this through this assignment, and you can include information that you learned or that was new to you beginning in Module 4 when you first looked at the APEEC assessment. And then talk about how you will use this learning in the future during student teaching and in your own classroom.